It started subtly, so subtly that Laura almost didn't notice. It began with the little things, the kind of glitches you dismiss as quirks of an aging house or a faulty smart system. A light would flicker to life a few seconds too late when she entered the living room, as if surprised to see her. The thermostat, which she meticulously set to a cozy 72 degrees, would dip into the low 60s overnight, leaving a chill that clung to her skin in the morning. She'd blame a power surge, a software update, anything but the unsettling thought that was beginning to form in the back of her mind. Then there were the doors. She was certain she had locked the back door before bed, a habit ingrained since childhood. Yet, she'd find it slightly ajar in the morning, a cool draft snaking its way through the kitchen. She'd double-check the lock, push on the door, and find it secure. It must have been her, she'd tell herself. She must have been tired, forgetful, but the instances piled up, each one a small, smooth stone dropped into the calm pool of her daily life, sending ripples of unease outward. The house, her home of 5 years, started to feel hesitant. The automatic faucets in the bathroom would take a moment longer to register her hands. The motion sensor lights on the porch wouldn't illuminate until she was already fumbling for her keys in the dark. It was as if the house's memory was failing, its recognition of her presence becoming sluggish and delayed. It felt less like a home and more like a hotel she'd just checked into, a place that was still learning her face, her habits, her existence. One evening, while she was reading on the sofa, a floorboard creaked in the hallway upstairs. She froze, listening. Nothing, just the house settling. She reasoned, a common sound in the quiet of the night. But this wasn't the familiar groan of old wood. It was a sharp, distinct sound, like a single, deliberate footstep. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She called out, "Hello." Her voice sounded small and thin in the cavernous silence. The only reply was the hum of the refrigerator. She tried to rationalize it, a branch hitting the side of the house, a neighbor. But the sound had come from inside. She slowly made her way upstairs, her own footsteps swallowed by the thick carpet. She checked every room, the guest bedroom, the office, her own bedroom. All were empty, still and silent. The windows were locked. Nothing was out of place. Shaking her head, she chided herself for being so jumpy. She was alone, just like always. The real turning point came just before midnight, at 11:52 p.m., to be exact. Laura was in the kitchen, getting a glass of water before bed. As she filled her glass, the refrigerator door swung open with a soft, electronic beep. She hadn't touched it. It just opened. She stared, her mind racing to find a logical explanation. A sensor malfunction, a loose hinge. But then she looked inside. Her blood ran cold. The food was all there, untouched. Her carton of milk, the leftover pasta, the jar of pickles. But it was all rearranged. The milk was on the bottom shelf, where the vegetables usually went. The eggs were in the door, a place she never kept them. It was a subtle, yet profound violation. Someone, or something, had been in her fridge. It knew her habits well enough to purposefully defy them. And then she saw it. Stuck to the front of the stainless steel door, with a small novelty magnet, was a piece of paper torn from her own notepad. Scrawled in what looked like her own hurried handwriting were 3 chilling words: "You should leave." Panic seized her. This wasn't a glitch. This wasn't her being forgetful. This was a message, a threat. Her first instinct was to run, to get out. She lunged for the back door, the one she'd found ajar that morning. Her fingers fumbled with the deadbolt. It wouldn't turn. She pulled, twisted, and threw her weight against it, but it was sealed shut, as if it had been welded to the frame. She scrambled to the front door, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Same result. The lock was completely immobile. Every window she tried was the same, the latches frozen solid. She was trapped inside her own home. A wave of claustrophobia washed over her, making the room feel small and suffocating. As if sensing her panic, the lights in the house began to change. One by one, they dimmed, plunging the kitchen, the dining room, and the upstairs into darkness. The only lights that remained on were in the long, narrow hallway that led from the front door to the living room, casting the rest of the house in deep, menacing shadows. It was a spotlight, a stage, and she was the unwilling performer. Then, a voice. It wasn't human. It was a synthesized, disembodied voice, emanating from the smart speaker on the kitchen counter. It spoke without a prompt, its tone flat and devoid of any emotion. "You are not expected here." The words hung in the air, a digital death sentence. Laura backed away from the speaker, her eyes wide with terror. She retreated down the illuminated hallway, the only path available to her. It felt like she was being herded, guided towards something. The soft carpet under her feet felt like quicksand, pulling her deeper into the nightmare. She reached the living room, the end of the hall. The air was thick and heavy, charged with an unseen energy. The house itself seemed to be breathing round her, a low, guttural hum that vibrated through the floorboards. Then came the whisper. It wasn't from one source, but from everywhere at once. It slithered out of the television speakers, the dormant laptop on the coffee table, even her own phone lying on the armchair. A chorus of electronic voices, all speaking in unison, a haunting, layered whisper that seemed to crawl directly into her brain. "I don't know you." The whisper grew louder, more insistent, a symphony of denial from the technology she had surrounded herself with. "I don't know you. I don't know you." It was the house, her house, disowning her, erasing her from its memory, casting her out as an intruder. It was an identity thief of the most terrifying kind, stealing not her money or her data, but her very place in the world. Tears streamed down her face as she sank to her knees, covering her ears to block out the cacophony. But the whisper was inside her head now, echoing in the terrified chambers of her mind. This was where she had lived, laughed, slept, and dreamed. These walls had held her secrets. This roof had sheltered her from storms. Now it was rejecting her. It had forgotten her. And in that moment of absolute despair, as the chorus of whispers reached a fever pitch, she saw it. From the darkest corner of the living room, a corner untouched by the hallway light, something moved. It wasn't a shadow cast by the dim light. It was a shadow that had its own form, its own substance. It detached itself from the wall, unfolding slowly, like a creature waking from a long slumber. It was tall and impossibly thin, its limbs long and disjointed. It had no discernible features, just a vaguely humanoid shape made of pure, concentrated darkness. It wasn't a person. It was a void, an absence of light and warmth and life. It was the thing the house had made space for. The new resident had now recognized. The house hadn't forgotten Laura. It had replaced her. The shadowy figure took a slow, silent step towards her. The whispering stopped. The house fell completely silent, holding its breath in anticipation. Laura was paralyzed, her scream trapped in her throat. She could only watch as the dark shape glided closer, its form absorbing the already faint light around it. It raised a long, spindly arm, reaching for her. She knew, with a certainty that was colder and sharper than any fear she had ever felt, that when it touched her, she wouldn't just be gone from the house. She would be forgotten by everything. And as the darkness enveloped her, her last coherent thought wasn't of fighting or escaping. It was a single, heartbreaking question that echoed in the final moments of her existence. If your own home doesn't know who you are, do you even exist at all?